Hello and welcome back to Crypto Saving Expert, where we talk about the latest cryptocurrency news and take a look at the markets so that we all know exactly what is happening. My name is Jess and we do these live streams every single weekday. So if you wouldn't mind, please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Let's take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin this morning. So Bitcoin is up another 4% within the last 24 hours, up to $46,700 here. And Ethereum is up nicely as well, up almost 2% at $2,470. So I would say this move to the upside was somewhat unexpected by a lot of people in the markets here. We were looking short-term bullish on Thursday, but I have to say I was not this bullish in the short term. Pretty shocking price action here. So let's get straight onto the Bitcoin chart and see what's going on today. We had this pretty strong level of support that started at $42,000. We've had an exceptionally strong bounce from here. In fact, Bitcoin is pumping right now. If we take a look at the 1 hour chart, it's just on a rapid move to the upside here. Now, I have this level of resistance at $50,000, $49,000 to $50,000. This has been my price target pre-halving since Bitcoin was at $20,000. And I've been pretty confident that that's not going to break. Bitcoin's surprising us all right now. Let's get that line off. There we go. So we can see there, $49,000 is what we are looking at there as a potential level of resistance to bring this pump to a halt. But Bitcoin's surprising us all here. We've also got one at $47,050. What I wanted to point out first of all on this stream is Bitcoin's going against what everybody thought right now. We are 2 months away from the Bitcoin halving. Typically, this period isn't the most bullish. It's sideways action with a bit of bearish momentum. Now we're pumping. Bitcoin's just doing what it does and is going against the crowd. Let's take a look at what's going on in the chat here. Good morning, Rob. Good morning, Justin. Good morning, Jason and Boris. Thank you very much for tuning in as always. Boris says, hi Jess from the Philippines. Solana on the move. If it holds at $106 on the weekly, then great. We are off to the races. We will take a look at some altcoins at the end of today's stream, so make sure to stay tuned. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. Let's see what's going on here, right? First of all, Bitcoin is pumping. We should all have big smiles on our faces. On the 4 hour chart, there's honestly not too much to look at except these horizontal levels because Bitcoin has gone on an upward trajectory at such a significant rate here. You can see on the 4 hour chart, we have used the $47,000 level as a level of resistance twice back after those ETFs got launched into the markets. We do have some wicks up to the $49,000 level, so we should be aware of those points. I would say this $47,000 level of resistance is pretty strong right now. If we look at any indicators like the RSI, MACD, they are all going to say overbought, bullish momentum, but that's just because we have effectively gone up in a straight line for the last couple of days. So I'm looking at those horizontal levels of resistance more than anything, being cautious of that. Grateful that I bought the dip. That's what we can say here. And this is why we always say dollar cost average in, dollar cost average out, because nobody really knows where the price of Bitcoin is going to go. So $47,000 almost this morning. Pretty nice to wake up to that today. Let's see what's going on with some altcoins here. So the biggest gainers of the day, we've got Rune up over 16%, eCash up over 7%, Ravencoin up almost 7%, and Flow up 6% as well. Biggest losers of the day, we're looking at Chainlink down slightly, just less than 3% there. That has been on an absolute rally for the last couple of days, so not surprised that it's having a little bit of a breather. We've got Huobi up 14% as well. That's down 14% as well. That's the HT is the token from Huobi Exchange. FTT down again, only marginally though, and Trust Wallet's token there as well. So mixed markets this morning, but overall we are looking pretty bullish here. If we go down, it's all green. It's all looking pretty good. For the first time in a couple of days, Chainlink's the most bearish one here in terms of the 24-hour movements. But if you take a look at this chart, we really can't complain with that price action there. On the daily, it's had an absolute rally here. A little bit of a red day yesterday, but we have seen a brilliant start to 2024 as a whole there. Let's see what else is going on. Let's take a look at what's going on. So we are officially 70 days away from the Bitcoin halving, getting closer and closer to that event where the Bitcoin block reward is halved from 6.25 to 3.125, and we see those miners receive a smaller amount of Bitcoin, and we see the inflation rate for Bitcoin decrease. So bullish event for Bitcoin, usually bearish in times of short-term price action, but overall super bullish for Bitcoin in the long term. In terms of the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, let's take a look at this. Bitcoin has been on a rally within the last couple of days, and we have seen $123 million in liquidation for traders, and we can see where those liquidations have occurred on this heat map. Essentially, the lighter the line, the more liquidations would take place if the price of Bitcoin were to hit those price points. So when Bitcoin was down here just a couple of days ago, we were saying, look, huge amount of liquidations at $44,000. This is acting like a magnet for Bitcoin right now. And then we did hit that point, and then we just continued going. And that was, we expected this bit, but not this bit. This bit is absolutely insane right now. Let's take a look at the 6-month chart here to get a little bit of an indication on what's going on in the bigger time frames. We still have a huge liquidation event if Bitcoin were to go down to that $34,000 level. Still keeping that in mind pre-halving. I think post-halving we can kind of start to rule these lower price targets out, but pre-halving we do need to be aware of some of these price points. Let's zoom out a little bit further and see if we can get any bigger levels. I think that is the main level to be aware of right now. We don't have too many liquidations above us right now. We haven't really hit those price points so far. Let's see what else is going on in the news though. So we have seen $123 million of liquidations for crypto traders as Bitcoin climbed past $46,000. And we are now seeing analysts are reporting that Bitcoin could hit $88,000 in 2024. So institutional access to Bitcoin through spot ETFs and its fourth halving could provide the catalysts needed to propel its price to as high as $88,000 this year. The future price of Bitcoin is a significant topic of debate for traders and holders of the precious digital asset, especially after the US SEC greenlighted the trading of 11 spot ETFs. According to a report by Finders Analyst, the ETFs coupled with Bitcoin's halving event in April could provide the perfect conditions for Bitcoin to hit a new all-time high of $88,000 this year. And we've been talking about this a lot on the channel right now. We are in 4-year cycles for Bitcoin. It's expected that we will see a bull market in 2024. Typically post a Bitcoin halving, we will see new all-time highs be created, and we see nice run-ups for about 18 months post-halving. So I'm looking at Bitcoin seeing a high in around September 2025 if the trend is to stay the same and we are still in these 4-year cycles. With that, we could see new all-time highs this year, and these analysts are saying, look, $88,000 is reasonable. We're seeing these Bitcoin ETFs having a huge amount of inflows every single day. They're accumulating Bitcoin every single day. When we have huge institutions accumulating Bitcoin at this rate, and we have the demand and the excitement around Bitcoin increasing amongst retail investors of the actual underlying assets, the amount of Bitcoin on exchanges is declining. And as that continues, if demand continues to increase and supply continues to decrease, we will get a supply crunch, and essentially the amount of Bitcoin available compared to the amount of demand will cause the price of those assets to increase massively. So this is what a lot of analysts are suggesting here. I believe this is definitely possible within the next couple of years, and is definitely the reason as to why we've all been so bullish on these spot Bitcoin ETFs and been fighting for them for so long. Let's take a look at what else is said in this article here though. So they explain that major companies and institutional investors are showing interest in Bitcoin, which is likely to drive demand. They added that the same investors will now have better access to Bitcoin through the ETFs, and the halving event will create a scarcity that tends to increase its value. So quantitative easing from the US Fed will happen in 2024, according to these analysts. They've said it's likely we will see quantitative easing by the end of 2024, although it's likely the ramifications of this won't take place at full effect until early 2025. So we have seen Bitcoin already breaking through $45,000, $46,000, close to $47,000 here. And I think just the anticipation of this kind of event occurring is creating excitement right now. As I've said in previous bull markets, pre-halving we're not the most bullish. We do tend to see sideways action or a little bit of downwards momentum, and over that month of the Bitcoin halving as well. So I'm not expecting April to be too bullish. But hold my hands up, I wasn't expecting this rally to kick off right now either. So We are seeing Bitcoin move to higher prices. We do have these ETFs in place that are having a huge amount of inflows. I do think they will have an effect on the markets, and maybe it will make the market act slightly differently to what it normally does. But I am being a little bit cautious on saying that narrative, because saying this time's different, saying we don't need to worry about the trends because we've got this instead this time, it just scares me a little bit, because in the last bull market, everybody was saying, look, we've got a super cycle, we've got this, we've got that, this time's different, and it wasn't different. The trend is your friend until the end. I find it very hard to trust that this time is different unless I see it with my own eyes and we do see something different happening. Until that trend breaks, I support that trend. Now, a lot of people are saying, look, we've got these ETFs now, we're not going to see as big pullbacks as we usually do. And then the ETFs launched and we saw a 20% pullback. So that highlighted to me that we still need to be following these trends. We will still see pullbacks along the way. And I am going off what's happened in previous cycles, because that's all the data we have when it comes to Bitcoin. So that's how we can best create some conclusions about what's happening here. Let's see what's going on here. Whole Citigroup says this is just February. It's $88,000 for the year, not low. Well, we can take a look at previous cycles here and see what's going on there. So let's go to Bitstamp here and zoom out to the weekly chart. If we pull this up, you can see the Bitcoin halvings. Let's test this theory. So prior to the second halving, the all-time high was at $1,175. And then it took exactly, let's see how long it took for us to reach a new all-time high. It took us about 224 days to see a new all-time high post halving there. So that was, the halving was on the 9th of July 2016, and we saw a new all-time high be created on the 20th of February 2017. So 224 days. If we take a look at the next cycle, pre-third halving, our all-time high was at $20,000. We did not break that all-time high until around 217 days after the halving. So 230 days, 217 days. If we were going off previous cycles and we put April in here, April 2024 there, and we go, what did I just say? Can someone remind me what I just said? 230 days, was it? Let's get that right. 230 days, 208 days. If we pull this up here, so from the middle of April, 230 days would take us to around the 2nd of December 2024. So let's put a line in there. This suggests that we would be at the all-time high on the 2nd of December 2024 if we were going to continue the same narrative as what we've seen on previous cycles. We're going to keep the same trends and look at those same dates. I don't think this is unreasonable to say this at this point in time. And that would be at $70,000. So these analysts are saying, look, we could be edging a little bit higher than that, a little bit faster than what we have in previous cycles. $88,000, therefore, in my opinion, isn't a bizarre guess here. A prediction here. I think this is a pretty nice prediction. Not too bullish, not too bearish at this point in time. As we have read, analysts are saying 18 months time. In 18 months time, within the next 18 months, at some point, we could get that supply crunch and we could see Bitcoin really move to the upside. But for me, $88,000 this year isn't too bullish, isn't too bearish. It does seem about right. That if we're looking at $70,000 being at the start of December on a typical cycle, with the Bitcoin ETFs creating some real extra momentum here, looking a little bit higher than that doesn't really scare me. And $88,000 seems like a good prediction for me. I know a lot of people are looking at that and going, God, well, I was meant to be a millionaire off Bitcoin. I do think Bitcoin has a huge amount of potential. I do think we could see really nice high prices. I am looking at over $100,000 for this bull market. But that's going into 2025 as well. And I think if we want to see some big gains, then maybe we do need to be looking at some altcoins as well. But Bitcoin is still my favorite asset of all time. So I think this price prediction is good enough. We're at $46,000. At what point did we all start getting greedy and saying, no, I don't want to make 50% on my portfolio this year. I want more. When did that happen to us? Everyone in crypto, not targeting you. It's just so funny to see everybody in crypto, where all of us, including myself, are like, 50%, that's not enough. I want to make 50x this year. It's just because the opportunity comes and we know how much we can take advantage of it. I think Bitcoin obviously will do well within this bull market as long as we continue to see this bull market. And we are seeing nice movements to the upside right now. I think $88,000 is a pretty nice prediction for the end of the year. Let's see what else is going on In the news, though, let's move on from those price predictions there. We have Bitcoin breaks $46,000 amid rampant ETF inflows reaching $403 million. So despite GBTC's $100 million outflows, Bitcoin ETF market thrives with $2.1 billion in net inflow total. So, For Trade Investors data shows that Bitcoin ETFs marked a significant inflow on the 8th of Feb by posting $403 million in net inflows, the highest since the 17th of Jan. And what impact has this had? Well, if we take a look at this article here, you can see that Bitcoin ETFs now hold more Bitcoin than MicroStrategy. So, the Bitcoin exchange traded funds through Wednesday held a combined 192,000 Bitcoin, more than 2,000 above that of MicroStrategy, the largest publicly traded holder of the cryptocurrency. The new spot Bitcoin ETFs, excluding GBTC, now hold more Bitcoin than MicroStrategy. Concentration of coins held by these entities is not a risk to the Bitcoin network, said one analyst. The amount of Bitcoin held by one entity does not put the network at risk. What puts the network at risk is the mining companies being basically having control. So holding tokens doesn't. Let me explain that again. The concern when it comes to Bitcoin, the only kind of flaw that Bitcoin has is that if somebody has power over 51% of the network, they can basically make changes to the network, control transactions. But so that is the concern, but that comes down to the centralization of miners, not the amount of tokens held by entities. Mining companies are what determine. I'm explaining this really badly today, right? Let me think on this. 51% hack is when 51% of the network is controlled by one entity. To control the network, you need to be mining you need to be mining it. You need to have those mining rigs. Holding the tokens is a completely separate thing, so we don't need to be worried that one entity will hold a huge amount of Bitcoin tokens. That has no effect on the safety and security of the Bitcoin network. This excludes GBTC, which had an operating fund long before it converted into an ETF. So they're saying, look, these ETFs have had a huge amount of inflows. A lot of people look at MicroStrategy as this golden egg because they hold so much Bitcoin. But these Bitcoin ETFs have seen a huge amount of inflows within the last couple of days as well. Before we continue, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. Sorry. Let's see what else is going on here in today's stream. So Bitcoin crosses $46,000 as the year of longs begin, easing ETF sell-off. So over the next few days, East Asia will celebrate the start of the year of the dragon, which is considered to be one of the luckiest and most prosperous animals in the Chinese zodiac. Let's see what else is going on here. Still news about that. So overall, when we look back at those articles we've seen so far today, Bitcoin is on the up. Lots of traders have been liquidated as Bitcoin has climbed above $46,000. We've hit all of those price points, liquidating traders in the short term. We are 70 days away from the Bitcoin halving, and Bitcoin is just on an absolute tear to the upside. If we take a look at this chart quickly, as I said, we are looking at levels of support of resistance right now at $47,050 and levels at $49,000 as well. In terms of levels of support, we're looking at $44,220, and we've got that major zone of support that starts at $42,000 as well. So all definitely worth keeping an eye on. Bitcoin is going up right now. We didn't expect this so considerably. I think prior to the Bitcoin halving, we are used to seeing sideways action and some bearish momentum. So seeing this rally is pretty nice. I'm being cautious at these levels of resistance right now, though, and trying not to flip too bullish too quickly. But let's see what's going on with Ethereum right now instead, because we've got some major news with Ethereum as well. Before we continue, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news here. Good morning, Whole City Group. Good afternoon, in fact, from Nigeria, he says. Good morning, Rob. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, very much appreciate it. The Ethereum's Danken upgrade set for March, and it's deployed on the Holesky testnet. So let's take a look at this. This basically combines the CanCun and Deneb upgrades on the network. So this seeks to improve the execution layer and targets enhancing the consensus layer. So proto-dank sharding will introduce blobs, allowing nodes to temporarily store and access large amounts of off-chain data on the network. Essentially, this is aiming to lower transaction costs for decentralized applications on Ethereum. But however, EIP 4844 will also benefit layer 2s due to the increased efficiency behind data processing on the network. So if you are more interested in that, I will drop through the link. I just wanted to skim through the basic principles of that because some people are really interested in this kind of stuff. Some people are not at all. So I was interested in it. I thought I'd give you a brief overview there. I've dropped the link in the chat. If you want more of it, there you go. If you don't, let's continue on with the next article here. 1 in 4 Ether now staked on the Ethereum network, according to data from June Analytics. This is showing a quarter of all existing Ether is now staked. The amount of Ether staked on the Ethereum network has risen above 25% for the first time ever. We've got a chart here showing where people are staking their Ethereum on centralized versus decentralized, liquid staking versus centralized exchange platforms. You can see across here the different protocols people are using to stake their Ethereum, looking to gain some rewards from staking their Ethereum. Essentially, staking is where you put up your tokens and you stake your tokens in return for some rewards. 25% of people are now doing that. We did have some questions a couple of days ago in the chat about staking tokens and my opinions on staking. I think if I was going to stake anything, Ethereum would be the one I was going to stake. I personally don't stake my Ethereum. It is important to stake your Ethereum because it helps support the network, but I personally do not stake anything. I explained that a couple of days ago in a stream, so I won't go into that again unless anybody is interested. But essentially, really off target today. Header's not in the game today. Let's try and get back into it. 1 in 4 Ether now staked on Ethereum. Really good to see. We want to be seeing people stake because the more Ethereum is staked, we want to see decentralization of the staking pools and see more people support the network. Let's see what else is going on here. Let's talk about this. I like talking about this. Bitcoin miners shares offer good entry point ahead of halving event, according to Bernstein. So what does this mean? What's happening now? Well, essentially, if you take a look at any cryptocurrency related stock in the bear market and its performance within the last 12 months, you will see that a lot of them have majorly outperformed Bitcoin. Now, why is that? It's because investing in a mining company in a centralized exchange during the bear market was more risky to me and seemingly to investors than investing in Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies in general, because mining companies, there was a risk they weren't going to make it through the bear market. They were going to have to shut down because their outgoings were too high. They had too many expenses. And with centralized exchanges, there were the fears of regulation and not being able to make it through into the bull market. Now, we all know cryptocurrency related companies, if they survive a bear market and make it through to a bull market, their inflows are going to increase. They're going to be making more money. If Bitcoin goes up, these Bitcoin mining companies are going to be making a nice big profit, and it's a nice business model. So in a bear market, people are feeling a little bit fearful about these kind of things. Will they make it through the bear market? And then it's kind of the looking at the pros and cons. And if they do make it through a bear market, they'll have a really nice business model. If they don't, they won't. So investing in these cryptocurrency related stocks has shown to be an opportunity where you can take on some extra risk compared to Bitcoin, but potentially gain some extra rewards. And now we're seeing that same sort of thing happen again. So this analyst is saying that difference isn't over. We're not finished seeing mining companies having that extra risk, have that and that potential extra reward scenario play out here, because the Bitcoin halving is typically, it causes a little bit fear when it comes to mining companies. Every 4 years pre-halving, we do see the news articles coming out saying, look, Bitcoin needs to go up in price significantly for these mining companies to survive, because their income is about to be halved unless the price of Bitcoin goes up. And every single time a lot of these mining companies make it through the halving, it's no longer a concern for them. But with those kind of extra rumors of concern and the actual concern that there is, because their income is still getting halved, there is something to look at here, maybe an opportunity here and say, look, I do a lot of research into this mining company. I believe in this mining company. It is taking on extra risk compared to Bitcoin because we know how Bitcoin works. It's here to stay. But it could have those extra rewards because as those fears kind of subside, it could outperform Bitcoin. So definitely something that's really interesting to me and definitely something to be looking out at. I've definitely taken the approach of zooming out and looking at what section of the markets I should be interested in depending on the point in the cycle. So as I keep saying, I always focus on Bitcoin at the start of the cycle, then high cap coins, then mid cap coins, then low cap coins. Right now, high cap coins are really having their time to shine, and I think they will do for the next couple of months. The thing I've really missed this cycle out of that kind of spectrum is investing in cryptocurrency related stocks during those early stages because they've been performing very, very well, and a lot of them have been outperforming Bitcoin. I wish I had done a little bit more research on that pre kind of bottoming out of the bear market and seeing those opportunities there. But hey, we all learn for next time. I think a lot of us in crypto shy away from investing in traditional stocks, but I think it is still important to get that diversification and sometimes move away from the volatility of crypto every now and then. But this is what we're seeing right now. Let's go back and see what's going on with the prices of Bitcoin and Ethereum here. Bitcoin up 4.2%. I mean, we really can't complain, can we? We've all got big smiles on our faces this morning. Somebody says in the chat this morning that they want to take a look at Solana, so let's take a look at that. What we can see this morning is Solana is up to $104. I mean, I'm looking at this and saying, do we have an inverse head and shoulder pattern here? I mean, it's a reversal pattern, so I don't like that it's coming from here, but still we are starting to see something there. I would say we definitely have a level of support at the least at $101 there on the daily chart. Really nice moves to the upside for all of these tokens. Let's take a look at Ethereum versus Bitcoin. Ethereum is majorly being outperformed by Bitcoin right now. We did see that at the start of today's stream. Bitcoin is up over 4%. Ethereum is up almost 2%. So we are seeing this kind of play out here. We are just a couple of months prior to that Bitcoin halving, where last cycle we did start to see this chart start to bottom out at any point now, really. So if we go on to the weekly chart, what we could be seeing here is these are really the lows for this chart, and Ethereum and high cap coins are really going to start to outperform Bitcoin and take that nice move to the upside. Well, at least that's what I'm hoping to see. That's what I'm expecting to see going off previous cycles. But yeah, right now, not really seeing that rally as we typically say. Bitcoin will have a rally, and when it starts that sideways action is where we're going to see those altcoins start to thrive. So maybe that's coming soon. But that's what we're looking at right now. Honestly, the price of Bitcoin was a pleasant surprise this morning. I am being cautious here. We were saying not sideways action, downwards momentum, most likely scenario to play out here, but Bitcoin has gone up and shocked us all. So I'm very excited to see what happens here over the weekend. Right now, we do need to be aware it is Friday. We could have a CME gap forming this weekend as well. We do have major level of resistance at $47,000. So unless we have a really strong rally through that within the next couple of hours, then we could be seeing some sideways actions below that price point there. If we take a look at the CME gap, this is the Chicago Mercantile Exchange's chart. So Chicago Mercantile Exchange is the world's largest derivatives exchange. It's operational every Monday to Friday, but when it closes on a Friday, it just pauses this chart. This chart literally just stops. So you can see, for example, here, what happens is on the Friday, it just stops. And then on the Monday, it just starts again, wherever the price of Bitcoin is on the Monday. And it makes a gap in the price of Bitcoin. And that gap acts like a magnet for the Bitcoin price until it is filled. Now, to fill a CME gap, you want to see price action within that range after the gap has been created. So, for example, we have one down at $20,330 now. So if we're on the daily chart here, so this will be clearer. $20,330 now. So we saw price action to the downside on the Friday. We saw upwards momentum over the weekend, but that wasn't shown on this chart. And we have not seen price action within that gap since the gap was created. So that has not been filled, and that is acting like a magnet for the Bitcoin price. You can see we created another one here. We had a magnet down at $39,700, and we we have now filled that because we've seen price action within that range. So this is something to look out for, because typically a CME gap will be filled in the days following the gap being created. So if we do see a massive rally over this weekend, we need to be aware, look, on Monday, Tuesday, we have a big magnet down below us, or if we see some bearish momentum here, then we could be looking at a magnet up above us on Monday. So we will be talking about that on Monday, going through what's been happening over the weekend. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Before we finish off today's stream, I want to highlight that we have a very special stream on this channel in just 1 hour's time at 12:30 UK time. We have Swissborg being interviewed on this channel, and they are giving away some premium Swissborg memberships to viewers here on the channel. So we've got one premium membership to give away to people that are watching the stream live. We then have a premium membership for those in our CSE Plus Discord channel, and we have some Swissborg swag to be giving away as well. So make sure to tune in 1 hour's time to be in for the chance for winning that. I think it's a brilliant opportunity there. Your competition's not too high here on the channel, so fingers crossed one of you manages to win that premium membership there. Swissborg is a brilliant platform, easy to make users an on and off ramp. Brilliant opportunity, so make sure to tune in 1 hour. But that's all we've got time for today. Thank you very much for tuning in, as always, and I will see you all back here tomorrow. Goodbye.